Let's move on to the Big 12. Baylor at Texas. And let's talk Kansas and Kansas State. These are the two games that matter. TCU, besides the TCU game, but TCU's already in the Big 12 championship. Kansas State beats Kansas. They are in the Big 12 championship, which I'm sure will make you happy with Kansas State and Baylor, Kansas State and TCU futures. But if Kansas could pull off the upset over Kansas State and Texas takes care of business against Baylor, then Texas would actually go, which would make me happy since I have Texas futures. But that's obviously a long shot here. Texas line is, look, they look great last week, and they'll look great, and their advanced metrics look great, and then Quinn Ewers will go off the rails for half. They're very hard to trust, especially as a favorite. Baylor, though, you'd have to think it's a tough spot here if they're losing the way that they did last week, and then it's like, what are you playing for now? You're still playing Texas, but we'll see how they recover from that loss. And then can Kansas's offense, because it's going to be hard for their defense to get many stops here. I think that's the question. Can the Kansas offense keep up with Kansas State to put a scare into them? You see anything in either one or both of these games?
Yeah, I like both home teams. I love Texas in this spot. They're going to get that TCU taste out of their mouth the last time they played in Austin. It's going to be Bijan Robinson's probably his last game to play there. And, Baylor's going to look to run the ball, Squirrel Williams and Richard Reese as much as possible because they don't want Blake Shapen to have the ball in his hands and long downs.
No, he looked awful last week.
Baylor is just not producing enough of a pass rush on defense to rattle Quinn Ewers. But then again, Quinn Ewers has been making bad plays without any pressure. So we'll see if he can kind of reverse that trend here. But Texas is 14th in the pass rush. That's going to be enough to get into Blake Shapen's face and cause some turnover-worthy plays. As far as Kansas State, I know the number went down a little bit from what I took it at, and that's because of the announcement that Adrian Martinez isn't going to play. We know Jalen Daniels is going to play. But at the same time, this Kansas defense cannot defend the run whatsoever. 127th in defensive stuff rate, 123rd in defensive line yards, and Deuce Vaughn just going to eat them up alive. This Kansas team has been dead since they got 6 wins, and their huge defensive edge player that they got through the transfer portal, Lonnie Phelps, who was the best defensive player on the team. He hasn't even recorded a sack in the last 5 games. So, Kansas is sleepwalking. Now, maybe they wake up for the big rivalry game. Listen,
they better wake up for a bowl because we're probably going to be on.
Yeah, I know. Kansas State has to win this game. So it's not like they're going to come out and be like, we don't need this game. They have to win this game or else they fall back into a tiebreaker loss situation with Texas. So Kansas State's not going to come out and be like, we don't need this. It's a rivalry, and they have to have it to go to the Big 12 championship. So I like Kansas State here. I think the number just came down a little bit because Will Howard's in there instead of Adrian Martinez.
Now, and you don't think Kansas? You think Kansas? What are your thoughts on the Kansas State defense overall?
They're horrific. I understand how
Kansas State.
Kansas State's defense. They have a great defensive line. They can get pressure on quarterbacks, but if you can get to their second level, you can burn them. That's the whole thing. A team that can create explosiveness 5 to 10 yards down the field and get past that front defensive line, they're going to have success against Kansas State. That's just not Kansas.